Hello, chefs. Welcome to Season 2 of the Incredible Discourse. This season, we kick off with an incredible episode, The Modern Chef's Mindset. I am Mark Grigsby, your chef and guide through this experience, and this is the Incredible Discourse.
All systems go.
Hello and welcome to the Incredible Discourse podcast. Again, I am Mark Grigsby and I am thrilled about today's episode. It's literally Season 2, guys. We finally made it. So, if you're new to the show, click the like and subscribe button so you never miss a beat. This season will be incredible for sure. I have so much in store for all of you. I'm trying to make this season unforgettable. We're going to be continuing on our solo episodes and exploring what it means to be a chef a little more in depth than last season. Last season was kind of a broad scope and we covered many things while I figured out how to go about producing this show. By the end of last season, I think I unlocked the key on where I want to go and what I want to do. So, this season, I want to build on that momentum and focus on the art and science of the modern chef. Coincidentally, that happens to be the name of this season, the art and science of the modern chef. And today is the first episode in this season. So, the culinary world is changing faster than ever. New techniques, new toys, new trends coming out every 5 minutes. And if you're cooking today, you're expected to keep up. You've got to adapt. You have to stay curious, stay sharp, and somehow keep your food consistent while the entire landscape shifts underneath you. But here's the part people forget. This mindset isn't just for chefs. It's for anyone who actually cares about cooking with purpose. Anybody who wants to improve. Anybody who wants to understand why their food works, not just how to follow a recipe. So today, we're breaking down what it really means to be a modern chef. Not the caricature or not the TV version. I'm talking about the real thing. Adaptability, intent, curiosity, and the ability to walk into an unpredictable kitchen or your home kitchen on a random Tuesday night and still produce something you're proud of. So, because this mindset elevates everything that you do. Behind the pass, at home, hosting friends, cooking for your kids, all of it. But before we can talk about how to cook like a modern chef, we've got to talk about why the mindset even matters in the first place. For a long time, decades, honestly, the culinary world ran on a very simple formula: hierarchy, repetition, and perfection. You learned a dish exactly the way your chef taught you. You plated it exactly the same way every night. You didn't ask why, because asking why meant you weren't listening. The job wasn't to understand, the job was to execute. But that world doesn't fully exist anymore. And thank God, really, because in today's kitchens and today's cooks, they need something a little bit different. They need flexibility, awareness, clarity, and curiosity. Because the pressures are different now. The expectations are different. The tools, the ingredients, the guests, everything has changed. So this idea of the modern chef mindset isn't some trendy concept or a cute phrase. It's survival. It's sustainability. It's how you grow without burning out and how you stay relevant without losing your craft. The modern chef mindset is a balance, an actual functional balance between technical skill, curiosity, adaptability, and intent. And notice what's missing from all of that: perfection. Perfection is what destroys cooks. It makes people freeze up, second guess themselves, and eventually stop learning altogether. I've chased perfection. Most chefs have. And it's a losing battle. Perfection is an illusion. Nobody plates a perfect dish on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock when the board is full and the fryer just died. But adaptability, that'll save your life every time. Give me someone with curiosity and intent, and I'll make them into a great cook. Give me someone obsessed with perfection, and we'll spend most of our time undoing bad habits mentally and emotionally, because that's just what bad cooks do. Because the modern chef isn't just someone who knows technique. The modern chef can read a situation. They can adjust seasoning without thinking. They can pivot when something goes wrong. They can taste something and immediately understand what needs to happen. They can look at a dish that's falling apart and say, I know how to fix this. And that comes from mindset, not memorization. Internal cooking is the heart of all of this. Intent is probably the word of the entire season. Cooking with intent means you're making decisions with purpose. You're not moving blindly. You're not adding seasoning because a recipe told you to. You're doing it because the dish actually needs it. You're not searing because you saw someone do it online. You're searing because you understand that Maillard reaction equals flavor. You're not putting your pan on medium heat because the knob is in the middle. You're doing it because you understand what that heat does to the fat in the pan and the ingredient hitting the fat. Intent shows up in your prep, your heat control, your knife work, your plating, your tasting, your troubleshooting, every single part of the process. When you cook with intent, you're not just following steps. You're understanding cause and effect. You're thinking like a chef, even if you're just a home cook trying to not burn your fucking dinner. And that's the shift from let me just get through this recipe to what does this dish need right now? That's intentional cooking. And then there's adaptability, which might be the single most underrated skill in the kitchen. People want to talk creativity. They want to talk plating. They want to talk about the perfect steak or the perfect sauce consistency. But in a real kitchen, in the real world, a real working chaotic kitchen, adaptability is what keeps you alive. You run out of an ingredient mid-service, adaptability. Your oven temperature drops 50 degrees without warning, adaptability. The mushrooms today are holding twice as much water as yesterday, adaptability. The humidity is messing with your fryers or your dough, adaptability. Your saute cook is dragging time because they're overwhelmed, adaptability. Everything you think is stable in a kitchen will eventually betray you. And that's the truth. So, a modern chef doesn't panic when things change. They don't crumble. They don't cling to the plan like a life raft. They say, okay, here's the reality, and let's work with it. And listen, this matters at home too. And I don't care if you're cooking for 2 people instead of 200. Your kid suddenly decides they hate spicy food? Adapt. The produce at the grocery store looks different than last week? Adapt. Your stove heats unevenly because it's old? Adapt. Publix is out of basil again? Adapt. Home kitchens are chaotic, unpredictable environments. That same adaptability saves you there too. Now, let's talk about how this mindset actually evolved. Old school kitchens were built like the military, right? You followed orders. You didn't ask questions. You repeated dishes until your hands were numb. And that system created some incredible chefs, no doubt. But it also created a lot of trauma, a lot of burnout, and a whole lot of stagnation. Today, the job is very different. The food is different because guests want originality, flexibility because menus change constantly, systems thinking, because you need structure to survive. Leadership, because you're managing people, not soldiers. Emotional intelligence, because you can't scream your way to the top anymore. And then you add food media on top of that. Social media completely changed the landscape. There's no hiding in the kitchen anymore. Everybody sees your food, records your food, posts your food, critiques your food, and recreates your food at home. And that means cooks today need a different mindset. They need to understand expectations, navigate new tools and ingredients, communicate clearly, troubleshoot under pressure, and innovate while maintaining consistency. And that's a big ask. And it takes a lot more than just skill. It takes mindset. So let's ground it in some real situations. The first one, you run out of an ingredient mid-service. Classic scenario, right? Happens to every kitchen. You look up at the board, you're 90 minutes into service, and you're suddenly out of something important. Maybe someone under-prepped. Maybe the supplier shorted you. Maybe you got slammed harder than expected. Whatever it is, you have two options. Panic and fuck up the night, or adjust and keep the line moving. A modern chef does not melt down. A modern chef does not immediately start looking for someone to blame. A modern chef says, all right, this is what we're going to do. And maybe you tweak the dish. Maybe you pull an alternate component. Maybe you 86 it all together. Maybe you borrow something from another station. The solution isn't what defines you. The mindset does. Here's another example. Adjusting technique based on conditions. Humidity affects frying. Temperature affects proofing. Water content affects vegetables. Equipment affects cooking speed. And sometimes the mood of your team even affects the execution. And we've all been there, right? Everything is a variable. Everything. Cooking is a living craft. What worked today or yesterday might not work tomorrow. And a modern chef doesn't fight the food. They respond to it. If your batter is suddenly too loose, you adjust it. If your sear isn't developing fast enough, adjust your heat or your fat. If your dough is tighter today, adjust your hydration. You don't follow the recipe. You follow the moment. And then there's like the balance between creativity and consistency. The tension every chef knows, right? You want your food to look gorgeous. Of course you do. We all do, right? Food is emotional. And we eat with our eyes. But you're also staring at a ticket machine spitting orders. You've got 25 plates that all need to look identical. You've got cooks of different skill levels executing the same exact dish. You've got time constraints, protein resting, sauces reducing, garnishes wilting. Creativity is wonderful, but consistency is survival. And that's why modern chefs build systems for plating, standards for sauces, portion controls, station diagrams, structures that make creativity possible before service and consistency possible during it. Creativity happens in development. Consistency happens in execution. A modern chef knows exactly which hat they're wearing in each moment. And at its core, the modern chef mindset is built on problem solving. Every dish is a hypothesis. Every cook is an experiment. Every service is a test. You're assessing, adjusting, adapting, constantly doing these things. And here's the truth. You cannot be a great problem solver if you're obsessed with perfection. Perfection freezes you. Perfection traps you in this idea that there's only one correct outcome. But cooking, real cooking now, is fluid. The modern chef thrives in that fluidity. Let's drop in a little science, because understanding why things happen is the foundation of everything. If you don't understand how heat moves, or how water evaporates, or how fats behave, how proteins denature, how acids brighten, how salt enhances, how sugars caramelize. Woo, there's a whole lot of things you got to understand, right? But then you're cooking blind if you don't know these things. And the modern chef mindset pushes you to stay curious, to ask, why does this work? What is happening in this pan right now? What is this ingredient trying to tell me? Cooking becomes sensory, intuitive, a dialogue between you and the food. And this isn't just for pros. Home cooks need this mindset just as much, or maybe even more, because home cooking is even more unpredictable. You got random pantry substitutions and inconsistent burners and different grocery quality every week and kids asking for snacks, and that shit aggravates me. While you're sauteing and timers going off and dogs begging and ingredients that don't match the recipe and a stove from 1998 with one burner that works and the fucking 3 that are lying to you, right? So home cooking is chaos. And what helps you thrive in chaos? Mindset, intent, awareness, adaptability, curiosity. If you cook with intent instead of panic, if you adapt instead of force things, if you stay curious instead of frustrated, if you learn the why behind your food, you will become a better cook and you'll enjoy cooking a whole lot more. The bottom line is mastery isn't a finish line. It's not a certificate. It's not a dish you perfect once and never touch it again. Mastery is the ability to adapt with confidence, to make choices with clarity, to understand your food deeply enough to improvise when the moment demands it. That is the modern chef's mindset in its entirety. And that's why we're starting season 2 right here in this moment at the foundation. Because everything we're going to talk about this season, every technique, every system, every lesson sits on this mindset right now. If you understand this, you'll understand everything else we build from right here. So let me tell you a quick story, because this is the moment I realized perfection will make a fool out of you if you let it. Years ago, I was running saute on a busy Friday night. One of those nights where the tickets don't fucking stop and the board looks like a CVS receipt and you can feel the fryer heat in your teeth, it's hot. And for whatever reason, I decided that was the night I was going to perfect this one dish. I was going to perfect it. A pan-seared snapper with a citrus brown butter sauce. Great dish, clean flavors, light, bright, one of my favorites. But here's where I messed up. The sauce was already dialed in. I had made it 100 times or more, probably 1,000. And I knew the timing, the heat, the color, everything. But on this particular night, for no good reason at all, I got it in my head that, oh man, you know what? I can make this just a little bit better. And that's the trap right there. Just a little better is perfection whispering in your ear. And so I started babysitting this sauce and stirring it too much and watching it too closely, trying to push the color just a shade darker to get this perfect nutty aroma. Meanwhile, the line around me is getting fucking smashed. The proteins are coming off the grill, the pasta water is boiling over, tickets getting called back to back. And what the fuck am I doing? I'm micromanaging butter. And guess what happened? The sauce broke. It split on me like it was trying to teach me a fucking lesson. And now I've got a pan full of separated fat, citrus, and regret, and a dish that needed to be on the past 30 seconds ago. No backup made, no time to fix it right, and while I'm trying to re-emulsify this thing like a madman, the entire line gets jammed up behind me. Complete ripple effect. Service slows, cooks panic, plates stack, the chef starts raising his voice, and all because I chased a perfect sauce instead of trusting the one that already worked 100 times over. If I had just simply cooked with intent and not ego, not insecurity, not this imaginary standard in my head, I would have nailed the dish and kept the line moving. Instead, I let perfection drag me into a problem that didn't need to exist in the first place. And there are a lot of nights I'm proud of in my career. This one was not one of them. But it taught me something I've never forgotten. Intent beats perfection every single time. So, all right, home cooks. Let's break this down and make it practical. And you know what time it is.
Food for thought.
So, let's talk about how all of this actually plays out in your kitchen. Because the modern chef mindset isn't just something you use on the line with 10 burners going and the ticket machine barking at you. Honestly, it might be even more useful in the controlled chaos of home cooking, where the two biggest variables in the world are working against you: limited time and unpredictable ingredients. You don't have a prep team. You don't have a dishwasher. You don't have a walk-in full of backups or 2 saute cooks you can yell behind at. You've got a stove with 1 burner that's hotter than the sun, a cutting board that slides off of your counter, your dog staring at you like he's starving, kids asking for snacks while you're just trying to fucking chop an onion without losing a fingertip. So let's bring this mindset into real life, into Tuesday night cooking, into weekend meal prep, into the times where you're rushing, you're tired, you're hungry, and you're just trying to put something decent on the table. The first thing I want you to understand, and this one's non-negotiable, is that mise en place matters at home. And I know it sounds like something only chefs care about, something that only matters when you've got 5 pans on the stove and 20 orders to push out. But mise en place isn't about looking professional. Mise en place is about reducing stress. It's about control. It's about being able to cook without stopping every 20 seconds to go hunt for salt or look for that one ingredient you swear you bought, but now you can't fucking find it. When I tell home cooks to set up their station before they turn on the stove, I can hear this resistance in their voices. That feels like extra work, chef. Yeah, I get it. But here's the truth. Cooking without mise en place is like driving without headlights. You're guessing your way through the dark. And guess what happens when you guess in the kitchen? You forget something. You burn something. You underseason something. You get flustered, and then you fuck up and make mistakes. You don't need to lay everything out like you're filming a cooking show, but you do need organization. Chop your onions before you start cooking. Portion your salt. Get your pans out. Put out your oil, your utensils, the ingredients you know you're going to need to perform this recipe. Turn cooking into a flow, not a fucking scavenger hunt. This alone makes home cooking twice as easy, because cooking is about rhythm, and you can't find rhythm when you're constantly stopping the music. Now, let's talk about the thing that separates good cooks from great cooks more than anything else, and that's taste everything. I have no idea why home cooks treat recipes like they were written by the culinary version of Moses coming down from the fucking mountain. Recipes are guidelines. They are not law. They don't know the brand of broth you're using. They don't know the size of the garlic cloves you're using. They don't know if your produce is sweeter this week. They don't know if your salt is coarse, flaky, iodized, or something fucking else entirely. They don't know if your lemon has more juice than average. Recipes can't taste your food. You can. The single most important habit you can build in your home kitchen is tasting at every stage. Tasting at the beginning to understand the ingredient. Taste during to adjust the seasoning. Taste at the end to balance acidity, salt, fat, sweetness. When you taste constantly, you're not just following instructions, you're learning your own palate. You're understanding what your food needs. And the more you understand that, the more you become the chef of your kitchen instead of the passenger. But if there's one thing that really separates pros from home cooks, truly separates now, like here and here separate, right? It's heat control. This is the biggest difference I see every single time I cook with someone who's not a pro. Home cooks cook too hot when they should be cooking gently, and too cold when they should be building a sear. They rush heat like they're trying to shortcut the flavor, or they're scared of heat and end up boiling instead of sautéing. Remember, heat is a tool. Heat is a language. Heat is communication. And once you understand how to use heat correctly, your food changes overnight. Let me give you an example. Searing a chicken thigh requires confidence and space. If your pan is too cold, you don't get color. If your pan is too full, you steam the chicken. If your pan is too hot, you burn the surface before the fat renders. Heat control isn't just a knob you turn. It's understanding how pan size, ingredient moisture, fat type, and timing all interact together. And if that sounds complicated, here's the secret. You learn it by paying attention, by listening to the sizzle, by watching the color change, by adjusting instead of forcing. Heat control is a dialogue, which leads us into something home cooks rarely think about: ingredient awareness. Choosing ingredients with purpose instead of habit. This is where intent comes in again. Don't just grab tomatoes because the recipe says tomatoes. Grab tomatoes that look good today. Don't buy herbs that look tired. Don't choose produce just because you always do. Let the ingredient guide the dish. If the produce is beautiful, cook simply. If it's mediocre, build depth and complexity. Chefs don't walk into a kitchen thinking, well, man, I hope the ingredients match my recipe today. They walk in thinking, let me see what I can do with what I have. And that mindset alone will elevate your cooking. Let's talk about the common mistakes I see at home all the time. Because once you fix these, you've already put yourself miles ahead. The first mistake is following recipes blindly. Recipes are helpful, but if you don't understand the cues, color, aroma, texture, moisture, you're going to get inconsistent results. A recipe might say sear for 3 minutes, but your stove is hotter or colder than the test kitchen. Your pan distributes heat differently. Your protein is a different thickness. So 3 minutes means nothing unless you learn to read what's happening in front of you. Another big mistake, and every home cook does this, every one of you, is overcrowding the pan. When you overcrowd a pan, you stop sautéing and start steaming. The moisture released from the ingredients can't evaporate fast enough, and suddenly your onions are fucking pale and soft instead of caramelized. Your chicken is gray instead of golden. Your potatoes are soggy instead of crisp. Give your ingredients space. Cook in batches if you need to. Yes, I know, chef, it takes longer, but the result is infinitely better. Mistake number 3, cooking too hot or too cold. And this is where panic comes in. People turn the heat up because they're in a hurry, or they turn it down because they're scared of burning something. Either way, they're not cooking with intent. They're cooking with fear. And heat should be adjusted based on what the food needs, not what your anxiety tells you. If your pan is smoking uncontrollably, you gotta turn it down. If your food isn't coloring, you gotta turn it up. This is why you need to listen and watch, because the pan is what's telling you the truth. And the last big one, not adapting seasoning. I cannot stress this one enough. Not all salts are the same. Not all broths, not all vinegars, not all canned tomatoes, not all fats. If you don't adjust based on what you're using, your food will always taste slightly off. Learn to season based on taste, not measurement. If your food tastes flat, add acid. If your food tastes dull, add salt. If it tastes harsh, add fat. If it tastes unbalanced, adjust. Let's get into some tools and ratios that actually help home cooks cook like pros. And these are small things that make a massive difference. The first, the wooden spoon test for oil temperature. If you're not sure whether your oil is hot enough for sauteing or shallow frying, dip the end of a wooden spoon into the oil. If small bubbles gently rise around the wood, the oil is ready. It's a good trick, right? If the bubbles are violent, it's too hot. If there are no bubbles at all, you gotta wait. This is the easiest way to prevent burning your food or waiting too long for a sear. Next, one of my favorite rules, the 425 roasting ratio. If you don't know how to roast a vegetable, set your oven to 425 degrees, toss the vegetables in oil, salt, and something with color building potential, like black pepper, paprika, garlic powder, chili flakes, whatever matches the flavor that you're going for. Roast until they have color and the edges crisp up. And that's it. This one ratio alone will improve everything you roast. And so, here's another pro level tip. Use smaller pans when you want a better sear. A large pan with only one piece of chicken in it struggles to maintain consistent heat. The surface area is just too big and heat dissipates. Use a smaller pan when you really want that golden crust. And when you're boiling something like pasta or potatoes, you use a bigger pot than you think because it keeps the boil consistent and prevents it from dropping to a simmer when you add ingredients. And finally, if you want to cook with more intent, set up a small seasoning station. This one is one of the most impactful habits you can build. Keep a small bowl of salt, a pepper grinder, and an acid like lemon or vinegar, and a finishing fat like olive oil or butter near your stove or your cooking area. And these 4 things will fix almost anything. And when they're within reach, you'll actually use them. And this is what I want home cooks to understand today. Cooking with the modern chef's mindset isn't about being fancy. It's not about recreating restaurant dishes. It's not about showing off. It's not about anything other than paying attention, staying curious, cooking with intention, and adapting as you go. When you do that, your food will get better. Not because you memorized more recipes, but because you started actually cooking. So, before we move on, I want to let you guys know that in every solo episode this season, after our Home Cook's Perspective segment, which was this one we just finished, right? I'll be adding a brand new piece called Your Quick Fix of the Week. It's a simple, practical tip you can use right away. Something that ties directly into what we're talking about in each episode and nothing that you have to overthink. Okay? So, let's lock this in. Here's your quick fix of the week.
Pro tips from a chef's list.
All right, let me hit you with the quick fix because this one right here is the number one reason home cooked food tastes good, but not great. It drives people crazy because they can't figure out what's missing. It's like, oh, what's missing here? Oh, what's missing here? Oh my gosh, I think it needs salt. And oh my gosh, they followed the recipe, they seasoned it, they cooked it through. Everything should be right, but the flavor still falls flat at the end. And here's the truth that nobody's telling home cooks. If your food tastes off, it's almost never salt. It's acid. Your dish doesn't need more salt. Your dish needs contrast. It needs brightness. It needs lift. It needs something to wake it up. And that's where acid comes in. Acid is the difference between, yeah, it's all right, and, damn, what was that? It's the spark. It's the snap. It's the thing that makes flavors connect. Now, here's why it happens. When you're cooking, your palate gets used to the flavor of the dish. You taste it at different stages. You're adjusting salt, adjusting fat, adjusting seasoning, and your taste buds eventually go numb to all of it. And that's not your fault. It's just how the senses work. But the dish doesn't know that. The dish keeps on building richness, building sweetness, building fat, and before you know it, everything ends up in one flavor lane, right? There's no contrast, there's no brightness, no pop. It's all mid-range. And mid-range flavor is what makes food taste flat. So here's the fix. And it's the simplest, fastest, most impactful move you can make in your home kitchen. Add one of your 4 finishers before you plate. Just one. That's it. Don't overthink it. Your 4 finishers are lemon juice, vinegar, fresh herbs, or a flavored fat. Pick one that matches the dish. If it's roasted vegetables or chicken, squeeze a little lemon juice. If it's something hearty like braised greens or lentils, hit it with vinegar. If it's pasta or something saucy, throw in fresh herbs right at the end. If the dish needs richness or smoothness, swirl in a finishing fat like a splash of olive oil or a knob of butter or a flavored oil. And what you're doing here is bringing the dish back into balance. You're tightening the flavors, sharpening the edges, waking all of it up. And listen, this isn't a chef trick. This is a kitchen law. Restaurants don't serve anything without a finisher, ever. Because the last 2% is what makes food taste complete. And here's the best part. Once you start doing this, you realize something. Most of the dishes you thought were missing something were just missing contrast. Great home cooking isn't complicated. It's consistent. All right, let's step behind the pass for a minute because everything we've talked about so far, mindset, intent, adaptability, it all comes together in a pro kitchen. And this is where those ideas stop being theories and start being survival skills. And if you've never worked in a professional kitchen, let me tell you something. It is controlled chaos. The pressure is real. The clock is real. The consequences are real. And the only thing that keeps that whole machine from collapsing is systems. Not talent, not ego, not yelling, systems. Professional kitchens aren't magical places where everyone just naturally knows what to do. They're engineered environments, built intentionally to make consistency possible in the middle of absolute insanity. And this is where the modern chef mindset shines the most. Because if you don't have adaptability, if you don't have awareness, and you don't have intent, you will not last. This is the part people don't see on TV. They see the plating, they see the artistry, they see the drama, but they don't see the organization. They don't see the planning. They don't see the communication that keeps 100 moving parts flowing like a river instead of crashing like a flood. So let me break this down for you from a real chef's perspective. The real, unglamorous, behind-the-pass version of control and consistency. Let's start with service line applications, because this is the heart of the operation. Service is where everything you prepped, planned, organized, and practiced all comes together. And the first thing that holds that line together is callbacks and communication. In a professional kitchen, communication is oxygen. If you stop talking, the line suffocates. Every order, every time check, every fire call, every behind, every hot pan, every hands, every corner, all of it matters. And good communication isn't about yelling. It's about clarity. It's about precision. It's about keeping everyone aligned in the same rhythm at the same time. The kitchen lives and dies by rhythm. And the people who understand that rhythm, the cooks who hear it, feel it, anticipate it, those are the ones who rise to the top really fast. It's true. When you're calling back orders correctly, when you're repeating timing, when you're checking on stations, when you're updating the chef on what's dragging, when you're doing mid-service inventories on the fly, that's where consistency starts. It's not the fancy dish that you just plated. It's how well you communicate under pressure. Now, let's talk about timing, because timing is where cooks either fall apart or they come alive. And when you're managing multiple pans, proteins, and sauces all at once, you can't afford to be reactive. You have to be proactive. You have to think 5 steps ahead. You have to understand not just how long something takes, but how long it takes today, because every day is different. The chicken might be thicker than yesterday. The grill might be hotter today than yesterday. The fryer might be slower. The pasta water might not be boiling as aggressively because you refilled the pot in the middle of service like a weirdo. But professional timing isn't a stopwatch. It's awareness. It's checking protein temp with your fingertips. It's watching the edges of a scallop caramelize. It's hearing the change in the sizzle when the mushrooms release their water. It's glancing at a pan and knowing immediately whether to raise the heat, drop the heat, or finish with fat. Timing in a kitchen is like timing in jazz. It's improvisational. It's fluid. And it's only really works when you know the fundamentals well enough to bend them without breaking them. And then there's chaos control, right? Controlling chaos without losing standards. This is the part nobody teaches well, because anyone can plate beautifully at 4 p.m. during lineup. Anyone can make a gorgeous dish when the kitchen is quiet and you have tons of time. But the mark of a professional, the real mark, is whether you can maintain those standards when the printer is screaming, the host double-seated the dining room, your pantry cook is drowning, sauté is dragging, the dishwasher called out, the fryer is smoking, and you're on your 12th ticket in 6 minutes. That's chaos. And that's when the standards matter the most. And the cooks who stay calm in that particular moment, those are the cooks who keep their movements clean and deliberate. Those cooks don't let their hands get sloppy or their seasoning get lazy. Those are your future sous chefs. But none of that is possible without prep systems and scaling, right? Because service is only as strong as the prep behind it. If your prep is sloppy, your service will be sloppy too. If your prep is incomplete, your service will fall apart. If your prep isn't labeled, dated, rotated, and portioned correctly, your consistency will collapse. Prep is the secret engine of a successful kitchen. And the best cooks I've ever worked with are the ones who take prep dead serious. Dead serious. So let's talk Mies containers. Mies containers aren't just ingredients in bins. They are the building blocks of consistency. Every station has a setup. Every station has an order. Every item has a place. Every cook knows exactly where their tools and components live. That's not a preference. That's efficiency. And you can tell immediately who takes the job seriously by how they set their station. A clean, organized station means a clean, organized cook. A station that looks like a hurricane tore through it, that's a problem waiting to happen. And batching is another big one. Batching sauces, dressings, purees, and components isn't about cutting corners. It's about maintaining flavor consistently. When you batch properly, every dish leaves the past tasting the same. When you don't batch properly, the first plate of the night tastes one way and the last plate tastes another. And that's real. And that's not acceptable in a professional environment. And then there's intentional labeling. And home cooks underestimate how important this is. Because in a restaurant, every single item gets labeled with the date, the time, the cook's initials, and the shelf life. And they're not doing it because we're fucking obsessed with stickers, but because we're obsessed with consistency and safety. If you don't know how long something has been in the lowboy or how many hours it's been open, you can't control the quality. And quality is the only thing customers care about. And here's the part that people just don't think about. Pre-service tastings. Every good kitchen tastes the entire menu before service every day. Not once a week, not once a month, every day. Why? Because ingredients vary. Saltiness varies. Acidity varies. Water content varies. Even the cook's palate varies depending on fatigue, hydration, and stress. Pre-service tasting catches those inconsistencies before the guest experiences them. It's preventative control. And it's one of the most important systems in any serious kitchen. Now, let's get into advanced techniques and modern variations. Because the modern chef mindset doesn't ignore technology, it uses it intentionally. And one of the biggest examples is sous vide. People think sous vide is a shortcut, and it's not. It's a consistency tool. It eliminates variables. It creates stable baselines. It lets you nail temperature with precision every single time. And when used correctly, it frees cooks to focus on finishing, seasoning, searing, and service timing. And then there's blanching and shocking. One of the simplest, smartest timing systems in the entire culinary world. Blanching gives you control over texture and color. Shocking it locks it in. It lets you fire vegetables on the line in seconds instead of minutes. It keeps greens vibrant. It improves plating. It simplifies cooking under pressure. That's not fancy. That's smart. And in modern kitchens, tech matters. I'm talking about thermometers, scales, timers, ordering software, PARs, digital logs, the entire shebang. Tech doesn't replace the skill, it supports the skill. A thermometer won't teach you what medium rare feels like, but it will help a new cook learn consistency faster. A scale won't make you a pastry chef, but it will help you to stop fucking guessing. Systems plus tech plus skill. That's the modern chef equation. And it's why modern kitchens run smoother than old school, let's eyeball everything and yell a lot and whatever this is. You know what I mean? And it's not right. Let's talk about waste control. Because this is where professional kitchens either make money or they lose it. Food waste is one of the biggest expenses in any kitchen. And controlling it is a discipline. Root to stem cooking isn't a trend, it's a necessity. Trim, stems, tops, bones, skins, these aren't scraps, they're assets. They become stocks, purees, sauces, vinegars, oils, and staff meals. And the kitchens that do this well not only save the money, but they create depths of flavor that other kitchens never reach because they're throwing away half the shit that are opportunities. Portion control is another critical piece. If you overportion the plates, you're wasting product. If you underportion, the guest notices. Portioning needs to be exact. And that's why we weigh the proteins. That's why we use the dishers and the scoops. That's why we use ladles. That's why we measure starches and sauces. Because consistency in portioning isn't about being rigid. It's about giving every single guest the same exact experience every single time. And let me leave you with this, because the truth that defines every good kitchen is systems are what save you when pressure hits. When things go wrong, and they always will, you fall to the level of your prep, not the level of your talent. Talent disappears when chaos shows up. But systems hold the line. Systems keep track of everything that you're doing. Systems allow you to recover, adapt, and keep it moving. This is the pro kitchen perspective. This is the part that home cooks rarely see but always taste. This is the part of the craft that turns good food into great food. Not because you're being fancy, but because you're being intentional. Control, consistency, systems. That's the backbone of the modern chef. And the more you embrace these ideas, at work, at home, wherever it is that you're cooking, the more confident, calm, and skilled you become. So, here's your pro tip of the week. In a professional kitchen, talent is fucking great. But talent won't save you when the board fills up and the pressure hits. Your systems will. Your prep, your labeling, your organization, your habits. That's what keeps you steady when everything around you is moving so fast. So, remember this. Your system is your safety net. When the pressure hits, you fall to the level of your prep, not your talent. At the end of the day, consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up the same way every time, even when you're stressed, even when you're tired, or even when you're behind. That discipline is what separates good cooks from great ones. Consistency isn't a skill, it's a discipline. Master it, and everything else becomes a lot easier. Today's final thought leads us to this. The modern chef mindset isn't about chasing perfection. It's not about trying to impress your people or stacking your reputation on a dish you plated once under perfect conditions. It's about showing up with intent every single time, even when you're tired, even when things don't go according to the plan, even when the kitchen feels like it has a mind of its own. It's about understanding that every cook, every meal, every opportunity, every ingredient is another opportunity to learn something new, to adapt, to grow, and to treat the craft with the respect it deserves. Because here's the truth. Cooking will humble you. It will surprise you. It will test your patience, your discipline, your focus, and your ability to think clearly under pressure. But it will also show you what you're capable of. It will show you how much better you are when you slow down, pay attention, and actually listen to what the food is telling you. When you stop forcing things and start responding to them. When you trade perfection for intention. Whether you're behind the pass on a Saturday night with a dining room full, or standing in your home kitchen making dinner for the people that you love. This mindset will carry you. It gives you a sense of calm in the chaos. It teaches you to trust your hands, trust your instincts, trust your preparation. And it turns cooking into something deeper than just getting from raw to cooked. That's as simple as I can put it, right? It becomes a craft. It becomes a discipline. It becomes a reflection of who you are and how you move through the world. Because cooking isn't just technique. It's not just ingredients and heat. It's not just skill. Cooking is a relationship with yourself, with patience, with awareness, with problem solving, with humility, with intention. Every time you cook, you're shaping something more than just a dish. You're shaping your mindset. You're shaping your habits. You're shaping your ability to adapt in real time. And that skill carries far beyond the kitchen. You learn to let go of perfectionism. You learn to stay curious. You learn to taste, adjust, and keep moving. You learn to show up with respect, even when no one is watching. And if you can do that, if you can embrace that mindset, you'll not only cook better food, but you'll become a better version of yourself in the process. Because at the end of the day, cooking is never just about what's on the plate. It's about who you become while learning to make it. So, before we wrap up, let me give you a taste of what's coming next week. We're kicking off our very first guest episode of the season. I'm super excited about this, guys. We didn't do this last year, and this year we're doing it. And the first guest episode in the history of this show is going to be with world-class food photographer and director Bill Brady. And if you've ever wondered why certain dishes stop you mid-scroll on your Instagram, or how chefs and visual storytellers work together to bring food to life, this is the conversation that's going to open up your eyes. Bill brings a level of artistry, intention, and detail that pushes all of us in the culinary world to be better. So trust me, you don't want to miss this one. And one more thing, something I'm genuinely proud of. The first wave of the Incredible Discourse merchandise is officially live. We've partnered. I signed a little deal with a little company called Board Games Apparel, and they're designing and releasing every piece. And let me tell you, they nailed it. Quality, comfort, the storytelling, the branding, all of it lines up with what this show stands for. Whether you're rocking a tee in the kitchen or a hoodie on your day off, you're repping this community and everything we've been building together. So let's land this plane, shall we? Share your thoughts, questions, and kitchen stories using the hashtag #TheIncredibleDiscourse. I really do appreciate hearing how these episodes are helping you grow. Share on X for a chance to be mentioned on the website or the show. New episodes drop every Monday on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and now we're on Apple Podcasts. So hit that follow button and keep sharpening your craft each week. Check out the website for blogs, downloadable guides, recipes, and now the official merchandise drop. All of the tools that you need to level up your cooking at home or behind the pass, including this week's downloadable resource titled The Modern Chef's Playbook. Check out this downloadable resource. I wrote it myself. It's really good. This one will help you get your mind right and push to be the best chef and cook you can be. Thank you all again for joining me for the start of this season. Till next time, I am Mark Grigsby, and this has been another amazing episode of The Incredible Discourse.